People ask me all the time if dating is a numbers game, and that's a funny question because it actually is, but not at all in the way you think. It's actually an equation, and sadly, it's an equation that for a lot of guys ends up equaling zero. Let me tell you what I mean by this, how to solve this equation, and how to get better results in your dating and love life by doing it. Now, before I get into the equation, which I promise I will do in just a second, why am I even making this video? Well, the fact is, a lot of guys are very frustrated with the results they're getting in dating. In fact, a lot of guys are getting zero results. And most guys who bring up the numbers game argument, in all honesty, are using it as an excuse. And so while there is a numbers game, there is a percentage game in dating, it's not the way you think. And the fact of the matter is, it's not a cause for hopelessness, it's actually a cause for hopefulness, because you can take control of your percentages. You can take control of your numbers game, which is what I want to show you how to do right now. So what is this equation? Well, basically, in order for two people to meet and form a relationship, there are 5 things that need to happen. The first thing that needs to happen is they need to meet. They need to establish contact in some way. And this is actually a huge problem for most guys because most guys have structured their life in such a way that they don't make contact with girls. They go to work, they go home, they sit in front of their TV, they wake up, they go to work, they go home, they never meet any girls. It doesn't matter how charismatic they are, how charming they are, how good looking they are not going to meet anyone. You need to have a plan. You need to have a way to meet, because even without knowing the rest of this equation, if this element is 0, you know math, you multiply anything by 0, what do you get? You get 0. And for most guys, for a lot of guys, it's literally 0. For a lot of guys, it's just way too few. 1 new girl per month is not going to result in an active dating life, especially because everything then has to go right with that 1 girl, and it's not likely to go right 100% of the time, okay? So the first thing is you need to be meeting a sufficient amount of girls. The next absolutely critical piece is developing attraction. And again, for a lot of guys, this is nearly 0. Either because they are unattractive, they have not done what they can with their physical appearance to be attractive, they have not made themselves into the type of guy that will be attractive, or very commonly, because they don't know how to trigger attraction in a woman, right? There are very specific things you can do that reliably and repeatedly will get you attraction with a woman. Most guys don't do this. Most guys have platonic interactions where they're scared to bring up a man-to-woman topic. Most guys don't know how to flirt or are afraid to flirt. Most guys are afraid to take any risk of rejection. And so what ends up happening is they may meet women and then that interaction with the woman ends up petering out into nothing. It ends up becoming platonic, ends up becoming totally forgettable. It ends up going nowhere. So let's do some quick math. You only have 2 parts of the equation, but let's say you're meeting 1 new girl per week. And let's say that 1 time out of 10, you're gonna generate attraction, which is actually really, really high. That's actually not bad for the average guy. But let's say you're meeting 1 girl per week and you're gonna generate attraction 1 out of 10. That means once every 10 weeks, you'll have a chance with a girl. Once every 2.5 months, you'll have some chance with a new girl, which means you're gonna be meeting something like 4 to 5 girls per year, maximum. That's even if you did everything else in the equation perfectly. And guess what? Most guys are not getting a 1 in 10 attraction rate, and most guys are doing anything like the rest of the equation perfectly. In fact, if either of these numbers were 0, you either are not meeting any new girls or you flat out do not know how to develop attraction, your chances are, again, literally mathematically 0. And that's really bleak. Conversely, let's say you're doing those things very right. Let's say you are meeting, let's say you're doing 3 approaches a day. You meet 3 new girls a day and you're getting attraction 1 time out of 3. That would be 365 new possibilities in a year instead of 5. So you can very quickly see the difference. It's orders and orders and orders of magnitude. So let's move on to the third piece of the equation, getting a meetup or getting a date of some kind. All right, if you don't see the girl beyond that first interaction with her, you are never going to form a relationship. And I know this one's a huge issue for a lot of guys because this was a huge issue for me for years and years and years. I would have girls interested in me, attracted to me, and I never asked them on a date. I never asked for their phone number. I never took it anywhere, and therefore they all ended up going to nothing. And that is why I was a kissless virgin when I was 18 years old, because I never actually took the social risk of trying to close, right? In most sales situations, it's a fact that nobody, quote, asks for the order. Nobody says, hey, would you like to buy that? It's also true that in most social situations, most people don't say, hey, you know what? It's been nice, let's hang out again somewhere. Or they don't say, hey, do you want to continue this over coffee? That simple act gives you a chance of success. Not having that act gives you zero chance of success, even if the interaction up to that point was incredible. If neither person says, let's meet up again, it's done. And that makes everything else that happened pointless. So once again, we're presented with a 0. If this is 0, your results will be 0. How do I know it? Because those were my results for the first 18 years of my life. Conversely, if you are a true closer, it can make a dramatic positive impact on your results. Again, how do I know this? Because again, up to 18, I didn't close at all and I got 0 dates. My freshman year in college, the first year I tried to actually do game, I made it a habit and a point to ask every single girl I was interested in, every single girl I talked to, for their number every single time. And doing just that one thing in my freshman year of college got me 1 to 2 dates per week consistently, from 0 before that in my entire life. The fourth key piece of the puzzle is escalating the interaction. And this can be physically, emotionally, logistically. Most commonly, what this comes down to is kissing. Kissing is a huge symbol that not only are you physically attracted to each other, but that you've both decided you like each other. So most of the time, this is gonna come down to kissing, but not always. And to give a personal kind of history here, through that first freshman year of college that I told you about, where I started getting dates, I was still scared to go for a kiss. And I went on date after date after date where girls were practically screaming at me to kiss them, and I didn't do anything about it, and predictably, they didn't end up becoming relationships. Then I finally kissed a girl, and that is the girl to whom I lost my virginity. Since then, I've made it a point that when things are going well, I try to actually escalate things. And since then, predictably, things have gone dramatically better. And again, this is an area where a lot of guys are very timid, very scared, very afraid of a rejection. Okay? When things are going well, you do need to take it somewhere, because interactions usually are either getting better or worse. They don't stagnate. And if it just stays there and stays there and stays there, you miss your window, the girl gets disappointed, the vibe is lost, etc. So you need to actually go for it. You need to take that risk. So 2 pieces of good news on this. Number 1, if you're worried about how to go for a kiss, I've done entire videos on that. Check them out on my channel. Secondly, if you try for the kiss, most of the time, the girl will actually respect you for trying. I have very rarely, I can think of only once ever, where trying for the kiss has actually made an interaction dramatically worse for me. Whereas when I go for the kiss, even the times I have not gotten the kiss, even the times the girl has rejected the kiss, she has respected me for trying. Whereas many times when I didn't go for the kiss, the girl didn't respect my timidity, and that's when I didn't get a follow-up date. Okay, so you gain a lot by going for it, having the confidence, having the self-belief to try. So let's briefly do the math. Again, you could be great at meeting girls, great at getting dates, great at getting attraction. If you don't go for the kiss, your results will be 0. And literally, that's exactly what I was telling you about was my freshman year in college, right? Where I wasn't going for the kiss, and what were my end results? 0. I felt good about myself because I was getting dates, but I wasn't getting any relationships. Okay, so again, if any piece of this is 0, it ends up being a 0. Simple math. The fifth and final piece of the puzzle is turning intimacy or hooking up into an actual relationship. And this is one that fewer guys worldwide mess up than some of the others, because most guys' biggest mistake is building too much comfort and trying to connect too much before the girl actually wants to connect. Right? Most guys have issues with developing attraction or taking risks, but once they have a chance to connect, they're all about it. However, ironically, guys who have studied game, guys who have studied dating, tend to have this problem more than others, because they get caught up in this idea of I have to be alpha all the time, I can never drop my frame, all these kind of things. And so that keeps them from actually opening up, developing intimacy, being their real selves with girls, letting the girl into their world, those kind of things. And so that is a final step. And another final step is just that agreement with the girl that you are something, that you are a relationship of some kind. So to come full circle and really build a relationship, that step should be in place as well. So there you have the equation. How many girls are you meeting, times what percentage of them are you developing attraction with, times what percentage are you getting on a date, times what percentage you're escalating with, times what percentage are you turning into a relationship, equals the number of relationships you're gonna get. Pretty simple, but why is it important? Well, a couple key takeaways. Number 1, while each and every one of those can be optimized, the most important thing is none of them should be 0. If any of those is 0, or worse yet, if multiples of those are 0, the answer will be 0, meaning you get no success. You have no dating life. That's not what you want, okay? So the first thing is not 0. Second thing though, which is less intuitive but still very intuitive, whichever the smallest factor is, that's your highest leverage place to work. So for example, hopefully they aren't literally 0, but if the amount of girls you're meeting is 1 every 6 months, that's close enough to 0. You need to be working on it. It is way too low. If you have kissed a girl once or twice in your life, but you don't go for it regularly and it's a tiny, tiny percentage, that's way too low. That's where you need to work. And you can actually break down your results and see what percentage you're getting each step along the way, which will tell you specifically what you need to work on. So not only is this a model for game and how things work, it's a cautionary tale about zeros, it's also a diagnostic tool for determining where in your game you are weak. So take this equation, use it productively rather than using the excuse of the numbers game unproductively and as something to limit yourself. This should be uplifting and useful to you and help you to get more girls rather than just discouraging, as most people treat the numbers game to be.